Welcome to the Gentleman's Talk, where the podcast talks about a man's battle with mental health, his personal experiences, and his journey to be a better soul. Hosted by James Dean Littlejohn.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Gentleman's Talk. How are we all? Hope we're all doing okay. Just doing enough to get by. I suppose some of us are doing that. I certainly am at the moment myself. Obviously, I did a podcast on Sunday. It wasn't my finest moment, I'll be honest, but I had to be honest with all you. And it was one of those ones where, I've got a great, an unusual mix on in the background today. I'll explain it to you in a bit, but you'll hear some random songs as I talk the way through. But I think, to be honest, this is probably the most important podcast I've done, actually. I can kind of give you live feedback on this is really why I'm enjoying this process so much, because I'm able to see if things are working. I'm able to assess them. I'm able to sort of research them and manipulate them until they work perfectly for me. And what do I mean by that? Well, obviously Sunday I wasn't in the the best or the last podcast, depending on when you're listening. I wasn't in the best of moods. I was kind of low. I'd had a bit of a difficult weekend, and I must emphasise actually that wasn't on the basis that it was my friends' response, because a few of my friends, messaged me upon listening to it saying, I'm really sorry. I was just having a relaxing weekend, and I was. It's not their responsibility to make me happy, ultimately they have their lives and I have mine. So it's up to me really. And there's things I'm putting in motion actually to make this a little bit better. And hopefully I can talk a bit about that today. But this is probably one of the most important podcasts I've done because, Sunday I felt awful and, I don't know. I must have given that impression that I was expecting people to perk me up, and that was just the way my brain was obviously thinking on the day. I haven't listened to podcasts because, as you well know, I don't listen to them again once I've divulged the information and I've processed the information, which is why sometimes I duplicate some of the things I say because, for me it's just important to get it as I feel it and what is in my mind. And if I'm real, if I really want to process something, that's how I'll do it. But so yeah, Monday came about and I was supposed to do my motivational minute, and that was really the strike because I thought if I talk on Sunday night, I'll wake up Monday morning fresh as a daisy, and hopefully that it has worked a couple of times before where I've spoke to you and halfway through the podcast I've almost been back there. I've just kind of, this is fucking amazing, But obviously this time it didn't work, which was you've got to take the ups and the downs, haven't you? So it didn't work for me. I talked, but again, because I wasn't in the mood to talk out loud, really I would have probably benefited from talking to somebody rather than talking to a microphone on that in that instance or that occasion, So excuse me, I just moved some things around. Because I'm sat down at where I live and work in here now, in my little studio, shall we speak. So at the moment, is a mixture of things. But yeah, so I kind of, I struggled, and it was a tough experience. And I think things didn't help that, my morning message that I send out to the positive vibers, sort of kind of. I was a bit low, and then one of my other friends in the group, he was a bit low, and I've always said to the guys, let's be honest, be honest if you're not feeling it, and the whole responsibility then was kind of put onto the sort of third party in our little sort of trio of positive vibers, which I'm hoping to grow, by the way. So, but yeah, it kind of got to the point where he had that sole responsibility. And I'll tell you something, he's my best mate, so he knows me in and out. So, he knew exactly where to hit with the funnies, sending me gifts, giving me lists for music to play in the background. sent me a photo of him, and with the tagline, "The older I get, the more wrinkles I get in my forehead, and the more I look like a wrinkly ball bag." So the humour was back on point, and it really did perk me up to the point where I sort of ground through the day, and that's where I say, you don't have to have an okay day, or how's your day going? Are you having a good day? You don't have to have a good day. We some days we grind through, and certainly. For me, Monday was a grind. I didn't really achieve anything. If anything, it probably would have benefited from, in that occasion, from a mental health day, as they call it, or a well-being day. I could have just done with, sort of kind of chilling out, just getting things off my mind and going to do something a little bit outrageous, or even just going for a long walk or something, get it all out, listen to some music. So there's a lot I could have benefited from, but I didn't. I went to work. And I spent the day really just I spent it learning, keeping my mind occupied, looking at training courses for the future year, because there's some really good courses that I know will advance me career-wise and educationally. So, and I know I spoke about the course the other week, and I'm a glutton for punishment. However, I learned a lot from that, as in I need to do a bit more research, and look at spreading the learning rather than just thinking I need to get this smashed in a week, and go for it, So, but then I think that, a duty of care, so to speak, was owed by the professional company training me, and they should have outlined that this is a heavy course, because, I might have been a bit like, oh, okay, well, I'll do one a week then. Do you know what I mean? And that's how I would have spread that out. But I think with everybody being absolutely money orientated and getting as much money into their businesses as they can, because they just never know what's around the corner. We live in such an unpredictable world at the moment that they're just going, do you know what? Like I said to you, it was a 2-day course whittled down into 1-day course with an exam straight after. It's just not the way to teach, and it's certainly not the way to learn. Fortunately, I persevered, and I wrote a lot of notes down. So, it's come in handy. I'm already using my notes to my advantage, and certainly doing my job straight away. I have hit the ground running. So there's a couple of emails I sent today that were, they had no answers for months, and I answered the question within a couple of hours, and everyone was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's what you wanted, wasn't it? So it's, and that's not a big headed, but that's just me. That's the way I work. I don't think I'm taking information on, and in actual fact I do. I just take on a barrage of it, but it's just unpicking it all in my brain, and it filters down, and then as I use it, I seem to dive into some sort of memory bank and go, oh, that's where it was there. So Monday, he had a lot of pressure on him, and Monday night I went to bed early. I thought, I don't know what's going on. But what I did do, to sort of caveat my mood, I carried on with my routine. So I still carried on messaging my friends, and I still interacted, and I took photos, and we had a bit of a laugh, and we were having a bit of banter throughout the day, and then I sort of carried on doing my walks and things like that, and then I went to bed early the Monday night, ready for the Tuesday, thinking I can't do this again. I can't do another day of this. I don't want to do this. But I felt a little better than what I did Sunday. So I was hopeful. Do you know what I mean? Oh, sorry, what's that? That's a notification to say someone's on a walk. See, that's what it all links in when we're being friends and we do exercise, and so it's good motivation. And so I thought, well, I'll just get an early night, and hopefully a little bit more sleep, because I know I've kind of overthought a lot of things, and with that, when I do that and I overthink everything and I overprocess everything, it exhausts me as well. So I'm recognising the signs of my body, but that certainly comes with time. This doesn't happen overnight. But when you actually start working on yourself and actually start looking after yourself, you start seeing the signs. As I've been talking about I can see the signs. And so today I woke up, and before I elaborate on signs and things like that, but just to give you a little bit of context with it, I'd kept up my routine. I had an early night, and then I woke up Tuesday morning, and I went, I feel better. I was still a bit groggy, still a bit tired. I had to do my normal routine. I went for a shower, cold shower at the end of it, and went for a nice walk with the dog, came in, had a nice cup of tea, made my fruit smoothie, and toast with my Firemite on it. So I kind of, I've got into this routine where I have a fairly big breakfast now, but it does kind of bode me well for not eating, and then I just have a banana and that stuff. So really, really educating myself, not even educating myself, because I know what to eat. I just, I didn't do it. So just basically refreshing myself and getting myself back into the routine. And I thought, right, I need to snap out of this. And I hate that word, snap out of it, because, I certainly wouldn't say that to somebody, but I had to say it to myself. So I was giving myself a little bit of that tough love, going, fucking come on, James. You know the routine. You know what you've got to do. So I kind of reverted back to my old self a little bit. And I think potentially it worked on this one occasion, but some days I'll tailor something that will work on that occasion, and then some days I'll do something and that won't work, like it has done this time around. I thought talking on Sunday would work. Turns out it didn't. It just, if anything, it just put me in a lower mood, because then I started dwelling on the fact that I hadn't had feedback, and, and I hadn't spoke to my friends, I hadn't done anything. So it was a bit of a negative for me. So I counteracted that with, okay, well, that's not working. Okay, talking to people. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest in some more learning. So I sat today, and in between doing my work, I kind of really multitasked today. But I was writing policy for my level 6 degree. And I thought, well, I'll do assessment 4. I did a load of work yesterday on it. Yesterday evening, I was just for bed, sort of bedtime reading with health and safety, because I'm a bit of a loser like that. But I was really just keen on, it was something in the back of my mind, I would do a bit of education today. And hopefully that'll sort me out, because normally it does. It gives me that spur to crack on, because I'm learning and I'm firing, and I get the brain cells firing a little bit. And I did, and I succeeded. I wrote the complete policy right from scratch, and I'll review it, because I finished it about 4:30, 5 o'clock, really. And I want to review it before I send it off, because it obviously costs me £60 every time if I fail. So I try to get it hit on the target. For instance, I've done 3 assessments in the last 5 weeks as well. So I've completed 3 of those assessments, and I've got merit and distinction in 2 merits and 1 distinction in all of those. So, when you think I'm not doing much, normally when I finish work at 5 o'clock, I'm stuck in the books till 7, 8 o'clock. With my tea in between, trying to do a bit more education. So trying to really get this level 6 knocked on the head so I can sort of put it to bed and just start gaining experience. So anyway, I digress, don't I? I do that a lot. But yeah, so I was, I did the education today, and I felt actually in the background, and this is where I'll sort of interject a little bit, really got to, I spoke to you last week, and I said I'd re-engage with my brother again. We had a really, really long chat, and we haven't spoke for a long time. I'm sort of saying a long time, probably about 2 or 3 months, which to us is a long time, because me and my brother, we talk weekly. So, it's a long time, for us to not talk. So, but we were both going through some tough times around January, and it caused a little bit of a rift. But I genuinely think that he is the same as me. He gets a little perkier during the summer, because he can get down his allotment and stuff like that. And yes, he is my younger brother. Before you all say, oh, you got an older brother? No, I've got a younger brother with an allotment. But he'll probably, if he gets around to listening to this podcast, he'll probably go, and I'll be like, yeah, you old bastard. But no, it's his getaway, and I absolutely love it. And the ambition he has, is really infectious, because he wants to sort of make his own chutneys and jams and stuff like that. So he's a real sort of dab hand with that. He loves his cooking. I always said he should have been a chef, but he didn't. He went into something completely different. But anyway, so I re-engaged with him, and on Sunday I sent him a collaboration on Spotify, because I was feeling a bit shit, and I was like, I want to collaborate with my brother. I know he listens to similar things, and there's this thing you can do on Spotify called, there's 2. You can either collaborate with someone, or I can't remember what the other one's called. Anyway, basically they connect your 2 accounts, and they find out the most played music and what sort of genre of music you listen to, and they mix it up. So it's really good. We had a 55% match, which is pretty crazy, because that's pretty good when you consider that I listen to a lot more sort of soppy shit like Coldplay and all that sort of stuff, and all that sort of jazz, Ben Howard and you know, Ed Sheeran and all that. I listen to all those sort of things, really, sort of kind of like the lyrics. I'm a real lyrical man. Whereas my brother, he's a little bit more of a sort of techno, you know, sort of kind of crazy lyrics on other things, a little bit of, you know, well, I don't think he's really got a genre. He just listens to everything, but he always seems to find the quirkiness of things, which is really, really good. Hence the playlist. Well, this is a collaboration playlist. This is the I think he's called it, which is really good. I made one and he made one. It's called the Brother Mix. You know, it's fab, and it's just a load of songs we're going to add to and just collaborate on. So, like here we got sort of kind of, who's in that? Red Hot Chili Peppers, The Offspring, Bob Seger, Steve Miller Band, Counting Crows, Green Day, Aerosmith, Tom Petty, Three Doors Down, Bon Jovi, Metallica, Aerosmith, Phil Collins, The Proclaimers, Journey, Bryan Adams, Eminem. You know, it's such a diverse, and I love that word anyway, but such a diverse group or selection of music that's really good to listen to. Anyway, so I digressed on to talk about that because that was a really important part, I think, to actually my stabilisation, really, of my mood and my feelings. Because, you know, what I did was I felt crap on Sunday, and I don't know why, because like I say, I'd engaged my family and all that sort of stuff, and I'd had a good Friday, so it just came out of the blue. But it does, you know, you can't dictate this, and this is what I really try to emphasise to people. You can't dictate. Nothing real doesn't get triggered. Do you know what I mean? Mental health in men can be anything, and it can literally be, I can get blindsided by something that just really affect me, and it can be simple as that I could receive an email, and just by the way that you address that email to me, I can get blindsided with emotion from that. So I have to really, really think and manage my day, and I have to remove emotion out of my own emails. And also, if someone addresses me, because I'm very friendly, I really am a friendly person. I never used to be, trust me. I never used to be the nicest I am. But like I said, I've been in a shit place. I don't want to ever put people in that place, and I've done plenty of it. So, you know, I'm healing, and you know, I'm recognising the errors in my ways. But even just addressing me with an email or a text message can really affect me. You know, so, but I manage that with coping mechanisms. That's really important to note that, you know, this is what we're here. We're developing ourselves all the time. Anyway, so to go back to how things got better and why they're getting better quicker than they normally would is because I'm supported by this, you know. So, you know, when you think about it, I had like my best friend sat there on, you know, Monday giving me absolute hell all day, funny messages, gifts, all this sort of stuff, real banter stuff that I'm used to on a daily basis. And again, you know, when you're at home and working from home, you don't get that. So it's really, really hard when you don't see people. And, you know, then I had sort of kind of my other friend as well, the one that was feeling a bit crap, that is, you know, he's got PTSD as well, you know, and we're sort of coaching, all of us are coaching each other along. He basically said, again, he wasn't feeling great, and but he carried on his routine, he carried on his exercise and everything else, and he got through it. And today, you know, he sent a video of him doing crazy shit in the morning. So it really goes to show how much it helps. And one of the biggest things that's helped me this morning, actually, to the point where I messaged my brother, was, you know, I had the playlist on this morning, and I came straight in with some real ambition to... I thought, if I'm going to read health and safety before I go to sleep, I've got to utilise that, because otherwise, you know, I'm going to be defined as a geek, and I don't want to be defined as a geek. I like the element of a geek. Oh, there's my mate there actually talking to me. The one that's gone back into his exercise. He's just probably put a photo of his exercise up. So, yeah, so I messaged him, because I came in with, you know, sort of kind of a bit of gusto, you know, just fucking sort it out, James. Come on. You bet, you know, you're not betting this, but you know you're on the right path. So I shouted at myself a little bit. Started the day with a really good breakfast. And, you know, hit the ground running, really. Sort of kind of did a bit of Google searching, learnt a few things, and went, right, let's get stuck into this. And whilst I was doing that, I was answering questions with work, so I was researching. I mean, good job I got dual screens, because, you know, I'm firing work everywhere. One of them's got Health and Safety at Work Act open, one of them's got the Management Act. You know, it's a proper geek's heaven, do you know what I mean? But for me, that sounds probably like, oh my God, there's people raising their eyebrows, and I get that, but for me, the way I work is I work on information. So I work on knowing the ins and outs. As I've said to you in many podcasts, you know, like I cast my mind back to once when I spoke to you about, you know, the electric, what do you call it? The electric forklift truck at my previous job. And I wanted to understand why he couldn't go into a desire zone and all this sort of stuff. Excuse me. So, you know, I want to know the ins and outs of everything, and that's just my thirst for information. And I do store it, and I do retain it. So for me, to sit there and function the way I was today is how I function. It's how I... What's this one? Listen, bit of Aerosmith. You know, Janie's got a gun. You know what I mean? So good section of music, isn't it? So yeah, you know, that's how I work. It's how I thrive. It tires me out enough because I'm absorbing information, I'm helping people, I'm learning, and, you know, also I'm better on myself, and also I work on reward, as you all well know, you know. So for me, I work on reward knowing I've done a good job, and I know that I've done the job to the best of my ability, given as best as advice as I can. So that does mean for me researching a lot of things. So health and safety for me really does work because I'm constantly thinking, and that's the problem. I don't stand still. I'm constantly always trying to improve myself. And, you know, I'm hoping there's a point where I slow down because, you know, I think my head's going to explode at one point. I'm not sure. No innuendo or pun intended, you dirty-minded bastards. So, you know, I had to get that in there because interject a little bit of humour. You know, so yeah, and on so all these little things sort of kind of perked me up. And then today I received some feedback from one of my friends this morning saying I love your podcast. And then this afternoon I got more feedback from another one of my friends saying, mate, your podcasts are coming thick and fast, and they're so, you know, education, etc., etc. So it really spurred me on, and I know it's a really cheap thing to say, but I do work on that basis. I do work on knowing that I'm helping people, because when you're sat here talking to a microphone, splurting out your brains, if you like, just kind of getting all your emotions out there, but trying to put it all into context for people and try and you need to know that it's working, because if you don't know it's working, you don't know that the content you're giving. So it's an element of me learning as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a case of I'm looking at it for emotional stability, because I'm not, because otherwise I would have quit a long time ago. But for me, it's not about that. It's about knowing that I'm helping people and knowing that this thing that I'm doing, this journey that I'm doing, is actually working. It is actually helping people. I know it's working for me, but you know, I don't want it to just work for me. I want it to work for, you know, other men. I want other men to feel that, like, this dude has done this, this, and this. He's been through this, this, and this, and that's probably only 20% of what you really know. You know, there's loads of stuff about me. You know, you sort of kind of can, you know, build up a picture. You kind of go to the point where, you know, once you've done all that, you need that little bit saying, I love the podcast last night, mate. That was on point. I learned loads from it, and it's that feedback aspect. So when I got that, it spurred me on. So all these mixture of things, you know, sort of kind of gave me the goal and the ambition to, you know, kind of move forward. Yeah, so that helped massively, and I think that this is what I'm saying about having a support network around you is, you know, that listen to you as well. And you know, I really am lucky, you know. And I had another friend this afternoon. I'm going out for a couple of drinks on Friday, just because I haven't been out in town for a long time, and I want to go out and just. I've got to be cautious. I don't overdo it or anything like that, which I'm cautious I normally do, but I don't nowadays, because I know that the repercussions for my mental health over the next few days are it's not me that it just affects, it affects everybody. So I am conscious of that. But I'm looking forward to going out and socialising a little bit and getting a meal. And at the same time, one of my other friends has come along who, he's sort of kind of, in the same sort of boat. So it's kind of someone else to come along and just talk to, get him out of his shell. So, so I've learnt an absolute sort of mountain of stuff, really. But what I did really learn out of the whole thing, I say, was the most rewarding thing is, number one, I kept up with all my routine work. So I kept up with my cold showers. I kept up with my reflection time. Even if it was a negative reflection time, I just sat there and just listened to the music then. I didn't listen to the thoughts, but instead listened to the music. So there's ways of dealing with things. And I learned that about myself. And I kept up with all these routine things, eating the right stuff, exercising 3 times a day. Another thing I've incorporated actually before I carry on is on Tuesday. So this morning, first thing, I got a reminder app, and I thought I'd do a water reminder app, but I don't just want it for water. I want it to remind me every hour on the hour to drink water, do 20 squats, and do 10 press-ups, which I actually added to 20 press-ups. So I did that for my whole duration of work. So because I work from home, so I don't get massive amounts when you sat and you're doing a desk job. So I did that, and do you know what? It really worked. It was amazing. On the hour, every hour, I get a ping, and it's like, even to the point where I hear the ping, I know what the ping tone is. It was like almost like training a dog with treats, and so I learned from doing that today, and I feel tired, in the sense my legs have been worked. I've got my heart rate up. So all of these things, sort of kind of really helped me today. And with this little reminder app, I was like, ding. Oh, so I'd got a drink of water, did my squats, did my press-ups, went back in, repenned the water for the next hour, concentrated on my work, ping. And that was my way of also telling me to get up and walk to get a drink. So it all really worked. It really helped each other. Also we helped each other, like I'm talking to an app, like it's a partner. It was my partner today. So I learned a lot about keeping up with the routine despite your memory, or just despite your emotions. Keeping up your routine shows that you're fighting this. You're fighting that thing, because it's so easy. And I mean, like, I was exhausted Monday to the point where I was almost falling asleep at the screen. I really shouldn't have done it. But because it's not an illness, and I say that in the loosest of terms because it is an illness, but do you know what I mean? It's not like colds or anything like that. It's, it's inside my head. Well, I don't know how you explain that to people without making yourself look negative, so it's still a little bit of a cautious area, and something I'm actually going to address with my my new line manager tomorrow about sickness and stuff like that, and how we deal with these days, because we are in a high stress environment. We are dealing with a lot of regulations, legislations, and law, so it can be quite overwhelming. So I didn't know how to approach it. Now, normally, if you were like, I got the sniffles, and people will be screaming at the screen now, saying, well, you just say it was the sniffles, mate. And I'm like, but it's not, though, and I don't want it going down on my record as the sniffles. I'd rather it was recognised as a mental health thing. So, excuse me, I'll take a little sip. I've been jibbing along. A little sip of water. See, not even gin, which is unusual for me. And it's not, it's midweek. That doesn't stop me. That was my other side of my brain. So, yeah, it's really sort of kind of important to face the challenge with your stringent routine. Because when you break the routine, it's so easy. And like I said, I was falling asleep at the screen. And I envisioned my sofa that was behind my desk, because this is a bar stroke office stroke lounge now stroke studio, so it's got everything in here, it's a whirlwind of stuff, so I could have quite easily gone to sleep on the back of the sofa, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep going. But I kept the routine up. Now, previous James would have gone, I'm just going to go to sleep, and I did, and I have done before, but I just wanted to change things. I wanted to do it differently. So I decided to battle it and just keep up my routine. And I kept up my routine, but not only that, and I mean not only that, the thing that has really got me through is that network that I'm creating. And I don't mean I'm creating as in like, look at me, woohoo. I mean, look at me by all means. But, you're not made of wood, and the eyes, they will not be painted on. So it's justified. Arrogant bastard. Sorry, I was just being a bit of a dick then. But the thing that I've sort of kind of, and again, I use the word I, but it's not as loosely, but it's directed by me in the sense that this is what I want. So, and if you invest in something and other people are willing, and this is where the we comes in, they're willing to reinvest back with you, then, you've got yourself the perfect little sort of cake mix, haven't you, for a good, nice, I've used a cake reference, obviously. So you create a nice environment, and that was clearly apparent that even when and do you know, I think the key part was to all of this, that I was honest about my emotions. So I said, Monday morning, all right, guys, hope you're all right, sort of thing. I hope you had a good weekend. Sorry, I'm not really in the mood today, I've kind of had a bit of a shit one, but I've kind of done X, Y, and Z. Just trying to get through, but I hope you have a great day, positive vibes your way, sort of thing. And that was pretty much verbatim of what I said. So, and the response I got back straight away was, dude, don't worry about it, mate. We are going to smash fucking positivity your way. He said, like, positive pies coming your way, and I was getting gifts and all sorts. So, and then obviously a little bit low because, the next message was my mate who was feeling the same. So indirectly, I wanted to help him, but I couldn't because I was like, I just need to help myself. So it was a bit of a slow day, I think, as talking went, But I got perked up by my mate. So at the time, which helped me. A little bit of a selfish way of looking at it. I know, I appreciate that. But, what I wanted to do was better myself because I wanted to help him. And, I'm conscious in the back of my mind that, tonight he's got therapy because I'm invested in him. So I'm conscious that, later on in the week, he's going to need that little bit of support. And I didn't want to be like that. I didn't want to be that negative Nancy. And for the best reasons in the world, my best mate doesn't really get sad. He doesn't really get low. He's so chilled out and relaxed. And I think that's why it works, because when I'm in a shit place, he'll perk me right up. And I think that's obviously, it's an element to our structure of friendship, and but not only that, I was then given feedback by other people, my other friends, and I started engaging with them a bit more, and that just kind of perked me up. It kept me in that routine because I kept up with talking. And today I had a fucking amazing conversation with one of my best mates. He is one of my best mates. He's a really good friend of mine. It sort of kind of hit the ground running between us, the one that I went shooting with. And I call my little group of man friends, if you like. But if you want to label it, you can, but I put them all as best friends. They're all just, they are the ones that I engage with regularly. So for me, that is where this comes from. So if you want to label it, I don't like labeling it, but I can see how some people, might think of it. But anyway, again, I digressed, didn't I? But he messaged with him. We had a really good conversation, and it was nice to get a different aspect. And I remember he said to me, we were talking about what we were doing for the day, and I was like sending him puns back, so and he was sending puns back to me, and it was just a good day, and at the same time, and I think that's where, and I even think you can analyse it, and here we are, right live now, talking to you, analysing it in my brain as I think about it, hence why I digress a little bit, because I think about the show, and I think about reality, and how people think about things, and how people perceive things, and I'm really conscious of that. I don't know why. I think today's society has really made you overanalyse and label everything. I don't really like it, but yeah, I try to avoid it, but sometimes my brain just goes, oh yeah, shit, James, you got to think about that. So I think that when I analyse all that right now, that is where I am now. That's what's helped me through. I've kept my routine. I've kept up engagement with the people that I care about. But the plus side, or the actual most important side, this is his song, look. Same album, he just loves random stuff, man. And we had Brian Adams on, and now I've got some banging tunes on in the background. So, it really perks you up. And that's the thing that helped me today, was I was listening. I'd be like singing along to a bit of Bryan Adams or whatever, and then all of a sudden I'd be like this. I'd be like, oh yeah, and you kind of, music's amazing. Music is really amazing. So it kept me focused. It kept me focused by the fact, and this is the most important part about this, is I engaged with them, but they engaged back. And some of them even engaged first. So to me, that's the most important part, because you're getting feedback, and that's what makes us grow. That's what makes us feel like we're part of something. And that's what's really important is, and the reason I get low is because I want to feel part of something. And when I don't feel, when you have a network of, I say 4 or 5 friends, which is, in today's generational standards, that's pretty poor, isn't it? But, for me, that's a lot, really, it's a lot more than I've ever sort of kind of been focused on. But when you're focused on people that engage back with you, you feel like you belong to something, you feel part of something. So it is, once you've had that for weeks, I mean, best part of 4 months now, we're encroaching on 4 months, aren't we? And I've made these, in fact, that's just spurred me on, actually. 4 months, I need to get to the sea and do another dip in the sea. So that's coming up imminently. But for me, it's really important that that's happened, because if I didn't have that engagement, and I think that's where I've gone, it's been horribly wrong last time or previously, is because I've not engaged fully, because I had the person I engaged with all the time at work. Well, at work I wasn't happy, so I didn't want to engage. So I isolated myself for the best part of 2-3 years. So the person I would normally engage with and sort of pull me up at the time and sort of like kind of go, let's do something. I saw him every day, so I didn't take advantage of that. If anything, it was a hindrance, really, seeing him every day in the same place, because I was like, I don't really want to talk. I just want to isolate myself. Plus, it was in work, so I was focused on work, so I never really got that chance to talk about it. So this new method of like going, do you know what, just keep up with your routine. You've set your routine. The routine works for, the best part of 2 weeks, possibly 3 weeks. I've been level-headed, just had teeters here and there, go up and down, but not to this extremity. This extremity was where it shocked me, because I was like, oh, now why do I feel like this? And it does come out of the blue. I just kind of felt crap Sunday afternoon, and then Monday, boom, it's literally, karate kicked me in the face. Bruce Lee was on the way, so it kind of got to the point where it shocked me. But what I remained to do is I didn't let it win, and I fought it, and I went, do you know what? I'm going to carry on my routine. As I've already said to you, I carry on my routine. I engaged with my friends still, and they engaged back. I was honest with them and how I felt. And I think one of the key parts is honesty. I think that we can all hide behind things. And I think that if you want to do something, or you want to go somewhere, or you're not in the mood to do something, and say you're invited somewhere, and someone said, do you want to go somewhere? And you're like, yeah, not really, mate. But, you would say, yeah, but in your head you're going, not really, mate. Not really, I can't really be arsed with that. I think that if you were honest with that person and go, do you know what, mate? No, I that's not my bag, or, I'll give it a go, but it's not my thing. Or turn around and goes, do you know what, mate, I'm just not in the mood to socialise. And whatever your reason, if you're honest with that person, and you're honest about your feelings, you're honest about how you're feeling, say, for instance, you want to invite someone around, it works both ways. If you want to invite someone out, or invite someone around, or like, mate, do you fancy coming over for a cup of tea, or can I come over for a cup of tea? Invite yourself sometimes, and they'll go yes or no. And I think if you're honest, and you have that trust and respect for each other, that knowing that you can take the no as well as the yes, I think that you'll grow, because, we all do different things. And certainly I said no on a couple of occasions where I should have said yes. And I've also said no on a couple of occasions, and my mate has turned around and gone, it was a rhetorical question, my man. You are fucking doing it, And I'm very much quite a forceful person like that. And I think that's where, like, I have to kind of prompt people to sort of kind of engage sometimes, and because I'm always prompting, I'm always the man that says, right, we're doing this, and this, and let's fucking get it locked in. And that's why when I got the How About app, I just banged loads of stuff in there and went, I want to do stuff. I want to get stuck in. So I'm that kind of proactive person. So, it's difficult when you have people around you that aren't like that, but you have a good time with them. So, but I think at the same time, that's where we all need to grow. I think we all need to go, okay, well, actually, let's do this or let's do that. And if you, same as if you want to invite someone, then just be honest and say, mate, do you fancy doing this? Or mate, do you want to do this? Or mate, do you fancy coming over? Or whatever. Or you just be open and honest. And if they respect you and trust you, they'll be like, yeah, man. Or they'll be like, no, mate, can't do that. Or, do you know what I mean? You'll be able to take the valid reasons. So I think that's something I'm growing with, something I'm learning. And it's a really important part. But I wanted to give you really like a real life, like this has worked. Here I am on Tuesday. Yesterday was fucking awful. Normally this has been where I wouldn't have anyone to talk to. I'd just sink deeper and deeper and deeper to the point where I'd have to physically drag myself out the pits of hell. And I'm showing you that it's okay to feel shit. It's okay to not be okay. But what you need to do is be honest with yourself and be honest with the people around you that you've nurtured into a safe environment. It's really important to feel that, and it's really important to support all of you as individually and as a group. I certainly support my friends all individually, so and I do it as a group. It's really important because I'll individually text them saying, how are you, mate, if they want a private chat, or I'll talk to them in a group and I'll say, how are you? Do you know what I mean? Or morning and all the other things. So I try to mix it up. I try to get that good variation in how I interact with people, because I like the personal touch. I think you get more out of a personal touch. And also you grow as a friend through the personal touch as well. But also as a group, you let each other in. And until you eventually, I suppose, get to a point where you trust each other that much, that you would, that you'll start divulging a bit more information as a group, So we're all growing. We're all getting to the point where it's not about quantity, it's about the quality. And I really appreciate that phrase, because I'm not interested in having hundreds of people trying to tell me that I'm doing okay. I'm just interested in the people that I really care about. And when I care about those, and, like I said, I've been overwhelmed with talking to my brother. And when, like I said, we had an hour and a half conversation, and, I get a lot from my brother, more than he cares to realise. He's very much, sort of kind of, I get a lot from all of my friends, to be honest, and they all individually give me something. And that's what's really important. I've got such a diverse group from different backgrounds. And I think that's why I work, because, we've all got experience in different fields. I get a lot from my brother because, we shared a room right up until we literally both left at home. We never stopped sharing a room, and, he left to go and do his career and I left to go and do my career. And, we never really sort of kind of, and then when we came back, we were old enough to drink, so we drank a lot and, went out and partied and stuff like that. And we've had our roller coasters, but, as older men now, it's certainly relatable. And it's really shit when you go for a period of not talking. But understandably, family are a little bit more volatile than friends, because they know a lot about you. You know a lot about them. Normally, you've got similar emotions, which is almost why, me, my brother and sister, we all clash, because we've all got similar emotions. And I don't really think we're all designed to get on with each other. That's why my brother talks to my sister, and I talk to my brother. So my brother's kind of like he's become he doesn't realise it, but he's become like the middle person, really. Probably because I'm too honest. If I'm being honest, I'm quite honest about how I approach things. So I tend to say it as it is, and it's got me into a little bit of trouble. And it's got me into a little bit of dispute with people, because I don't like, I am who I am, and I don't like snidey people. I don't like people going behind my back. I like people gossiping. I don't like being involved in all of that crap, it's really, really important, just to avoid that, and avoid gossip and all that sort of stuff. It just harbours negativity, and we don't want that. So that's why I've got such good trust with the people around me, because, you've got to have trust, because you're talking to them about your life, and you're talking about the ins and outs of your emotions. So if you can't trust them, and you ever find out, then obviously that's the friendship done, isn't it? So it's really important to nurture that around you, look after it around you, and just be honest with everybody. But I've got a lot to reflect on, and that's why I did the podcast slightly early tonight, so I can sit down and use my reflection hour. Or probably half an hour by the time I've done this. Use my reflection half hour just to actually re-energize my feeling, and basically go, look what happened to you on Sunday, look what happened to you on Monday, but look where you are on Tuesday. That normally would have been weeks in the making, but you've managed to do it because you've invested in yourself, you've invested in your friends, and you've invested in your lifestyle. And because I kept up with my routine, I didn't subside from it. I kept up with getting up at my certain time, going for my walk, cold shower, reflection time, yoga, all these little things that I've been doing, education, all help me with coping mechanisms. And that's massively important, and it proofs in the pudding here. You're talking to me with Journey on in the background, in a better mood. So it goes to show that these coping mechanisms work. But I'm an individual, so I can't speak for how everyone works, but caveat that with you manipulate these tools, these coping mechanisms to fit your lifestyle. So take them and go, okay, well, that doesn't work for me, but do you know what, that worked for me last week, let's try that. And that's why we're always developing, we're always growing. I mean, people seem to forget that we get a lot of mental health support when we're in school, don't we? We get loads of support. They're like, oh god, yeah, the kids they're feeling the stresses and the strains, they've got emotions, and I'm going through it with my 3 daughters. They're sat there, and I'm dealing with periods, and I'm dealing with frustrations, I'm dealing with emotions as they get up, as they grow up, I'm dealing with growing pains, I'm dealing with everything. It is literally to the point where I have a lot of respect for women with the amount of emotions that they go through from an early stage. When I was a lad, it was sex and fighting with a bit of drinking, which just basically made this sex and fighting better. So literally, men are quite simple. Feed me and have sex with me. And at the end of the night, if we have a good old scrap, we're good to go. So men are quite simple, aren't we, really, when we put it down to that. But we get a lot of support, don't we? We get a lot of support as children. With that frustrations, and a lot of like, I need a day here and day there, but there's no support for you as you get into an adulthood. When you get you don't have the pressures you have as an adult. We don't have the high fuel bills, we don't have the the high energy costs, we don't have the high cost of living. That all these stresses and strains we're just expected to deal with, as well as being a husband, learning DIY, taking on the protection, security of the home. All of these things, you're a mechanic, you're everything, you know what I mean? As well as trying to look after yourself, look after your mental health, keep yourself fit, keep yourself in style so you don't look like an old codger. So you're dealing with all this, and sometimes things do slip, obviously, because there's a lot to take on board. And we give a lot of respect to women for this, and we give a lot of respect for children for this, but there's no real help for men. So we're just expected to get on with this. Now, I know there's stuff out there that is working, and I know there's stuff out there's avenues, and it is getting better. Trust me, I know it is. I've seen it. I research it daily. It's part of my secondary duty, so to speak, if you like. Let me take a quick sip of drink, because I'm not quite finished. Lovely. So, that was water, by the way, so I was trying to emphasise on the loveliness. But there's no real help for men. So we're just expected to deal with these pressures, and then, you go in the house and they go, okay, well, the bill's gone up. I just had the conversation earlier. The bill's gone up now, just for the cost of living aspect at £30 each month. And I was like, okay, fucking brilliant. And then they were like, obviously with energy, we don't quite know, but we're looking at, probably an extra £30 each month. So you think, okay, well, that's 60 quid. Well, I didn't get a fucking pay rise this year. So, okay, that's 60 quid I got to find. But, that's out of the disposable income if you've got any. If you're fortunate, if you're not fortunate enough, you're screwed. So there's a lot of these pressures that we deal with. There you go, look, water reminder just came up telling me to drink water. Well, I did just 2 minutes before. So it's already working, it's already in the same zone. Probably did over the last hour, actually, so it was probably about right. So we don't get that help. We don't have anyone to talk to, and that's why these coping mechanisms are really important to help us nurture the people around us, help us talk openly and honestly to the people around us, other men that understand. It gives us a sense of belonging. It gives us a sense of comradeship. You know, this is what men are about that. You know, when you look back at all the wars and you look back at all of the situations where men are stuck together, you know, and I have to use those references because that's probably the most relatable reference to me. But I remember that, you know, there's people I went on tour with, or, you know, and there's people, but you make friends with men in really shit situations, and you make friends for life. And there's a guy that I haven't spoke to him for the best part of 12 years. I can say his name because I don't even know if he's still got that name. Bozzoni, his name was, and a little Italian guy. And basically, you go on tour and you meet someone that's like-minded and you just get on. And we spent 6 months literally bed spacing it together, but next bed spaces from each other, just chatting and learning each other in 6 months in a hostile environment. So that's when you grow. And although I haven't spoken to him for the best part of 10, 12 years, I know for a fact that if I did talk to him tomorrow, it'd be like, all right, mate, how's it going? Yeah, buddy, do you remember that time? You know, and you would just hit it off, you know, and that's what happens. Men seem to bond in moments of crisis, and that's why, you know, when I had that crisis and I'm talking to people and they talk back to me and engage with me, that's a moment of crisis for me, so I'm instantly bonding with you. So I'm like, I'm invested in you now, mate. And when they give investment back, you go, fucking amazing. Well, this is a great feeling. I actually feel great for once. And that's where it comes from. You know, and that's why we're talking about this. But you've had real life experience today of how it's got me to where it has, and keeping up the routine, and that's really important. Like, I'm still doing my routine today. I've mixed up with an old experience that I had through the learning, and that helped me through the day. I think the real positive from it all, though, was the people that I talk to or I engage with now, all engage with me. And that was really, really important for me. Because it just sort of made me feel, you know, welcome, made me feel belonging, you know, because it's just a different feeling when you sort of kind of gel with your mates. It's undescribable, really, of just that level, you know, that level of sort of kind of, you know, compatibility. It's crazy. I love it. I do love it. But I'm going to leave it there because I've spoke to you for, Christ, we're encroaching on an hour already. Oof, that was a good talk, wasn't it? But I hope you've got a lot out of this, really. I certainly have. Let me please echo my sentiments from my last podcast, though, and just say, yeah, please help me by sharing the podcast, trying to get out some more, get it out there a bit more, you know, get a bit more sort of feedback on whatever platform you've got on. It'd be really, really appreciative if you could do that, just so I can help myself to learn, grow, and develop this, you know, even further. So here we are on Tuesday evening for me, or whatever day it is you're listening to this podcast. Whenever you're listening to it, just make sure that you keep up with your routine. It's proven. Get your routine and keep up with the friends around you. It's really important. So thanks for listening. And I look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care, everyone.